All right, a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody who is joining us from different parts of the world. Welcome to day 2 of Pangea, a global village, and how truly global we are today with 14 schools across 8 nations and more than 190 students who have participated in this conference from all over the world. It really humbles me to see this extraordinary participation. We've had an excellent day one where we had the panel discussion of our school heads. We've seen some great competitions taking part and students actually engaging with each other beautifully. And we are here on day 2 with my favorite people, which are the teachers, the educators who actually go inside the classrooms and interact with these brilliant young minds. What an absolute noble profession and deed that you all do. And thank you so much from everybody to raise our generations to become what they will and to take this beautiful planet that we call Earth ahead, be successful and be kind. So thank you to all the educators who are joining us today from different parts of the world. We will now move on to the panel discussion that we are here to set out for. Very happy to introduce the moderator for today's panel, Miss Pranjali Magar. Pranjali is the Vice President of Trainings at Skillsphere Education, our partner in knowledge learning, and is an educator and public speaker who has positively impacted 60,000 plus students across India and the Middle East. With a background in English literature and education, she fosters skills like public speaking, critical thinking, and leadership. That's quite a gamut of public, skill sets that Pranjali you work on. Pranjali is a TEDx speaker, a certified photographer, and a vocalist in a music band. So many hats that she dons. And with that, she inspires others to become their best selves through communication and personal development. She strongly believes teaching is not about filling, but fueling. Thank you so much, Pranjali, for being with us today and taking up this beautiful task of actually moderating a panel with your colleagues, with educators from different parts of the world. Without any further ado, just let's dive into hearing some actual insights from what happens in classrooms in different parts of the world. Over to you, Pranjali.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sugandha, for that lovely and warm introduction. And I am so delighted to be a part of Pangea yet again. I remember the last edition I did host or moderate the panel discussion for all our educators across different geographies. And I'm so excited to host the second edition as well. Without any further ado, let me inform all our live audiences that we have an extremely talented and esteemed panel, okay, who is going to participate in this amazing event, which we call Ask Me Anything. As the phrase suggests, we are going to delve into multiple questions that some of our students have posed for all our educators from across geographies. And we are also going to address questions that educators might have for each other. Now, I have a bag full of surprises packed for our educators and our live audiences. But before we delve into the discussion, I think it's important that we introduce our panelists for the day. So let me introduce our first panelist for the day, and that would be Miss Nicolette Sorba from Wapping High School. Miss Nicolette is a deputy head who leads on teaching and learning at Wapping High School. She has extensive experience of working in London schools and is passionate about the transformational power of education. Miss Nicolette, is there anything you'd like to say before we go ahead?
I just want to say what a pleasure it is to be here again. I joined the first Pangea a couple of years ago, and it's great to be immersed in what has been 2 days of an amazing global village. Our students have been buzzing and telling me some of them were working and collaborating with other students over the weekend for the Alliance project, and I think they've taken a great deal from it. So thank you very much indeed for organising today, because education is also about those things that are beyond the boundaries of the classroom. And I think that's what these 2 days are all about being global citizens and thinking outside of the box and collaborating on these amazing projects with people from around the world. And that is what's so very special.
Thank you so much, Miss Nicolette. And I believe all the educators here completely resonate with the idea that you've just shared with us. And with that, I'd like to move on to our next panelist for the day, which is Miss Parul Singh from ISWK Cambridge International School, Wadi Kabir. She has done her master's in organic chemistry and she's also taught in India in multiple places, Ghaziabad, Nainital, Dehradun, among a few. In Oman, she's been teaching in Oman since 2020 and she has about 21 years of experience in different boards of teaching and education. She's held positions like activity coordinator, career counselor, academic coordinator, IBDP coordinator, among a few others. She has a work experience so rich that I'm sure she is going to bring a lot to the table. So without any further ado, Miss Parul, is there something you would like to say before we proceed?
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. It's an afternoon here for me. So it's wonderful to be immersed in an online global village, as put so nicely by Nicolette. And I'm looking forward to this experience. My students have come back to me over the past 2 days, very excited about what they had to experience. And I'm looking forward to the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Parul. And with that, we move on to our third panelist for today, which is Miss Ong. Miss Ong is a music teacher and a coordinator of the International School Program from SK Section 13. She has been teaching for 33 years in primary school. She has conducted several international events and also actively participates in the AFS Malaysia Students Exchange Program. She has brought her school students overseas for choral choir competitions and student exchanges in South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, Macau, and multiple countries. Currently, she teaches music and coordinates international exchange programs. Miss Ong, is there anything you would like to share with all our listeners?
Hello, good evening. In Malaysia now it's already 7:30. So I would like to say thank you for inviting. For me, collaboration is very important, especially in primary school, especially SK Section 13 actually is a public school. It's not a school we have fun. Actually, we don't have fun, but most of the time, actually, we got a fun from parents. So when we do a lot of international collaboration and also the parents they were shocked because when I told them we are doing a collaboration international, especially for this global. I mean, 2 years ago we already entered, so I told them, yeah, we entered before, so I know some of the category, I know how to pronounce. But this year we got new categories, so I'm like, oh, I can't really remember how to pronounce because we got new categories. But I told my students just take it like a new challenge because my students are young. I don't have middle school. So I told them just make it an experience. So yesterday after the event, in fact, this morning, I interviewed them. I say, how was your feeling like yesterday? They say they were panicked, they were nervous, and all the sisters and brothers were older than them. They were so kind and so sweet. That's what they told me. They said they knew that we are so young, so actually they guided them. So I'm thankful being invited and then for this event, and hopefully we can collaborate again in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Ong. And with that, let's move on to the next panelist that we have, which is Miss Rashmi Patankar from Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir. She's a dedicated professional with a passion for supporting children in their personal and academic growth. A counselor and special educator heading the Counseling and Special Needs Department of the Indian School Wadi Kabir, wherein she creates a safe and inclusive environment where all students feel valued and supported. Ms. Rashmi, we welcome you. Is there anything you would like to say?
Thank you so much. I think a big round of applause to Elpro and Skillshare to bring everybody on such a nice collaborative event, which not only the students are enjoying, but we also the educators are getting a chance to interact with teachers from all over the world, which I don't think so would have been possible when we are limited to our boundaries. So wonderful job, and looking forward to the session now.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rashmi. And yes, we are eagerly looking forward to all the discussions that we are going to have today. Let's move on to the next panelist, which is Ms. Sarah Elliott. Sarah Elliott is an assistant head teaching and learning and staff development at Streatham and Clapham High School in London. She began her career as a classics teacher in 2004 at Hertfordshire and Essex High School, completing a PGCE at King's College London the year after. In her career, she has taken up responsibilities for SEN and creativity activity service aspect of the International Baccalaureate, and was one of the first members of Inner Drive's Cognitive Science Network. With a master's degree, she is passionate about teaching, learning, technology, and educating the women of the future. Ms. Sarah, we welcome you. Is there anything you would like to say?
No, just that I'm delighted to be part of this and collaborating with people across the world. As you say, the technology of recent years makes it possible, and it's so exciting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sarah. We're very happy to have you. And with that, we now move on to the next panelist. And I would request Ms. Etika to introduce herself. So, Ms. Etika, you have the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And this is my very first time for joining this kind of panel. And thank you so much for the invitation from the Pangea to our school. And let me introduce myself. My name is Etika Putri, and I am from SD Muhammadiyah Sapen, Indonesia. And I'm an English teacher, and I'm teaching from the first graders up to the sixth years. And I like gathering around with children, so I decided to force myself to teach for the children. And I'm eagerly to have a new experience from this panel discussion, and hopefully this kind of collaboration can last in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Itika, for that lovely introduction. And we are very happy to have you on the panel. And with that, let's invite Ms. Sindhu. Ms. Sindhu is a counselor and a special educator from GEMS, Dubai, with an experience of 21 years. Ms. Sindhu, would you please go ahead and do the honors of introducing yourself?
Thank you, Ms. Pranalji. Hi, everybody. I'm Sindhu, and I've been working as a hardcore counselor for a long time, and also in the field of special education, which is a passion. Really excited to be here, and ask me anything. That's a huge field. I really want to know what kind of questions comes in. So just excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sindhu. And I think this question, Ask Me Anything, is something we regularly use in our classrooms, isn't it? So I'm sure all our teachers are going to be absolute pros at discussing and answering all of these questions. And with that, let's move ahead to our next educator, Ms. Flavio. Mr. Flavio, or rather Professor Flavio. Professor Flavio graduated from one of the most prestigious universities for communication sciences with several years of teaching experience and cultural background. Professor Flavio, would you like to go ahead and tell us a little bit about your school and the students who participated for Pangea this year?
Yes, I want to say thank you for the introduction, and I want to say thank you as well for the opportunity to be a part of this amazing project. And I'm very happy to be here and represent Brazil in this journey of knowledge. And my name is Flavio, and I work as a teacher English for about 11 years here in Brazil. And all of this time, I'm trying to do something like for my country, doing something like trying to teach the language of the international language, the language of the globalization, and trying to make things better for our young people right here.
Thank you so much, Professor. And with that, we now move ahead to Ms. Natasha. Ms. Natasha Chopra from Elpro International School, Pune, is a passionate educator. With her experience of 12 years in the field, she always tries to make learning fun for her students in her English classes. She likes exploring new avenues of learning and heads the activities at school. Ms. Natasha, is there anything you would like to say from your end?
Thank you, Pranjali. I think it's an honor to be here. I feel as an educator, we have immense responsibility on us because today's education demands development in not just academics, but must transcend to all spheres of life. Collaboration and cooperation we're talking about today, I believe, are the real driving forces in today's time and necessary skills which we all need to inculcate in our students. I am actually looking forward to a healthy discussion today. Thank you, Pranjali.
Thank you so much, Miss Natasha. And likewise, I'm sure we all are looking forward to a wonderful, healthy discussion. And with that, we have Miss Sindhu. Miss Sindhu, I'm sorry, Miss Snigdha. My apologies. Miss Snigdha Viswas from Elpro International School, Cambridge. She's an English educator with Elpro International School, Cambridge, with 10 years of teaching experience in diverse national and international curriculum. She's a passionate learner and a believer of the concept of learn, unlearn, and relearn to grow as an educator. Miss Snigdha, we welcome you once again. Is there anything you'd like to say before we proceed?
Thank you, Pranjali, for having us here. It's an honor to be a part of this event. And I am certain that today, with all the educators around the globe, we will have a good sharing session and a learning session, as my mantra is learn, relearn, and learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I'm here to learn some new concepts, some new things about collaboration and communication and how I can inculcate those in my classrooms. So looking forward to these discussions. Thank you.
Awesome. That sounds very positive. Thank you so much, Ms. Snigdha. And with that, we have introduced all our panelists for today's discussion. The Ask Me Anything session, like I mentioned prior, is all about questions that our educators are here to answer. And I'm sure with their rich experience and expertise, they are going to bring in a lot of fruitful conversations to the table. So with that, let's start off with a very interesting questions that one of our students have posed. And that is, can compassion be taught through curriculum, or does it require attending a special program or a special seminar or something outside of the classroom? So this was the first question that we've received from our educators, from one of our students, my apologies. And I would like to request Miss Sindhu, if you could throw some light on what could be your answer if a student from your class would ask this question.
It's very interesting whether compassion could be taught through a curriculum. Well, curriculum is very, very broad. And if we look at it, it's something that we do every day in the lessons, in the classrooms. And I definitely feel it could be taught. It's something that students need to be exposed to it, not always through talking. It's experiential. You need to take them through the experience, through modeling. And it's a daily thing. So I definitely feel it could be taught and it should be imbibed also.
Why, I absolutely agree to this point. I'm sure our educators here at the panel might want to add on to what Ms. Sindhu has rightly mentioned. Yes, would any of the educators like to go ahead?
Yeah, may I, Pranjali?
Yes, Ms. Natasha, please.
I think compassion is something that we cannot confine into an airtight compartment, teaching it separately. It should be a part and parcel of our classes. We have so many stories to tell to children from our own experiences. And the students sitting in the classes, they have immense, knowledge and experience with which they're coming to the classes. So I think it should be an exchange of experiences, of ideas, something which is ongoing all the time.
Right. And I think, Miss Natasha, one thing that I'm sure all of the educators here must have experienced is it is a challenge to complete syllabi or, have the curriculum in place within the given deadline. I'm sure that is a challenge for all the educators, no matter the geography, no matter the country, no matter the grade or school that we're from. However, how can we incorporate it in a regular classroom? I'm sure the time span that we have is probably under an hour for a particular class. So, how do we manage incorporating it into classroom? I'd really like to ask our panelists if there are any creative techniques that you might be using in your class. Yes, Miss Nicolette.
So I think there are lots of opportunities for what we call here sometimes the hidden curriculum. So for us as English teachers, I'm an English teacher, we think very carefully about the kinds of books that we might choose to study with our students, or the poetry that we might look at, or if we're looking at articles by famous role models. And so we try to select things that we think will inspire and model some of those kind of those qualities that we want to promote. So that's one of the ways in which we do that, and I would call that the hidden curriculum. But like my colleagues have said, I think we are we're promoting those values in everything we do in the school, whether it is the way we sit down for lunch and we model with the young people how we sit and talk with each other and work as a community, whether it's the way we greet them or communicate even just on the stairs and around the corridors. And then sometimes in my school, for example, we might have assemblies which are promoting those sorts of values, or we might get students involved in workshops or themselves leading assemblies or taking part in events like this. So we're trying to make those qualities really visible to the students and get them using the language of compassion and kindness and collaboration, so that it's kind of signposted as well. It's not just taken for granted.
Thank you, Miss Nicolette. Yes, Miss Rashmi, please go ahead.
Yes, I think taking Miss Nicolette's point of view ahead, there is one part where it's like a hidden curriculum, as she mentioned, where it is imbibed into the curriculum or the text or what is being taught, and another way would be having the workshops or sessions. But back in our old times when we were in school, there used to be something called value education period or value education lesson, which is now slowly converted into SEL, social emotional learning lessons, which has become very, very relevant these days, and where these subjects or these topics can be at least hinted at, and then the students can explore further. Okay, these are things that you should be aware of, and then you take it up from there and make it a whole holistic learning out of that. So, yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rashmi. I think you've highlighted a very important point along with Ms. Nicolette, and that is modeling. I think as educators, it's such a huge responsibility to model compassion. It's one thing to teach compassion, but it's a whole different ballgame when we are looking at modeling so that children actually learn and they observe and they learn and they apply it in their lives. Thank you so much, Ms. Rashmi. Yes, Ms. Nikita, please go ahead.
Thank you, Pranjali. So, adding on to our fellow panelists, I would just suggest that kindness, compassion can be brought into our classrooms with the little practices that we have in our classrooms. Like if on a particular day, one of our classmates is not feeling well, then we would try to be compassionate and take care that we are not noisy enough. So we as teachers can encourage the students, encourage our learners to be quiet on that particular day, saying that, okay, you need to be compassionate. Your friend is particularly not feeling well. Similarly, we can bring in compassion into our classrooms when possibly someone, a person who has just joined recently, classes recently, we can tell the other students, fellow students, to help them out, which we always do in our classes. That not only the teacher will be giving away all the resources to the new joinees, but what if the other students also help them out? We can also help the children to inculcate the value of compassion with including some activities, as in, why don't we take them out and tell them to have some sessions with the underprivileged ones, wherein they give away some lessons to impart some lessons to the underprivileged students. So that way they would learn, they would come close to the people who do not have as many resources as they do have, and they learn the value of compassion that way.
Absolutely, Ms. Megda, and you've highlighted a very important point, which is teaching beyond classroom. I think it's so important as educators that we don't restrict ourselves to the four walls of a classroom. Thank you so much, Ms. Megda. Ms. Ethika, would you like to throw some light on this topic?
Thank you so much for the time, and I strongly agree with the other educators that the compassion itself cannot be separate from the curriculum. So it should be practiced day by day, so that the character building itself is a part of my school that is applied for years, and the teachers in the morning they stand in line in front of the school to welcome the students, and some of them also gather around with us, the teachers, and welcoming the other friends. And the compassion itself also can be practiced in the classroom, such as like what Miss Sneak said, that if some of the friends are not feeling well, so the others should take care of them. And I myself once have my student feeling not very well, and the others are feeling so hot because that day is a hot day, and the sick student requested me to turn off the air conditioner, and once I said to turn off, one of the other students feel so do not want to do that because they feel so hot. But I told them that we have to respect the others, and I took some stories, and then after that they can accept that, oh yes, I have to be treat the others well, just like what we want them to treat us. I think that I can say.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Ethika. And we've discussed quite a lot about compassion so far. But let's come to the other half of the theme, which is collaboration. Collaboration is something that we do focus on when it comes to teamwork related activities in our classroom. However, Professor Flavia, I'd like to ask you, when it comes to collaboration, is it more about coming to a compromise or consensus, or is it about pushing your boundaries and challenging each other's ideas? Professor Flavio? Okay, I believe he has connectivity issues. So let's shift the same question to Ms. Sarah. Yes, Ms. Sarah, over to you.
Hi, yes. I think in an effective team, it's really good to have lots of different ideas and different approaches to try things out. So I think sort of the idea of challenge and testing and working together to find out the best solution is really important. In my previous school, we did a lot of collaboration. So I taught a year 7 Latin class for a local school where they didn't have any Latin. And it was the highlight of my week. And hearing different opinions to my students and being challenged to think about things in a different way was amazing.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sarah. Ms. Parul, would you like to also maybe tell us a little bit about what is your opinion? Is collaboration about compromise, or is it about pushing boundaries and appreciating ideas?
Well, personally, I feel collaboration is very closely linked to what we have already talked about, compassion. So once you build upon compassion and it becomes a way of life, not just for you and for your learners as well, I think collaboration comes quite easily. And as Sarah has quite rightly pointed out, I have used this technique frequently. I've told my senior A-level students to take a revision class of grade 9 for chemistry. So they initially they're a little hesitant, but then they very quickly build up on the idea, and then they themselves volunteer that we would like to excuse me, we would like to go ahead and maybe do a little bit more. So I have had shadow teachers, and it's an interesting concept. And I think collaboration builds on compassion. So yes, that's my thought and
Absolutely,
opinion.
ma'am. I think you weaved the two together so beautifully in this answer. Thank you so much. Yes, Miss Nicolette, the floor is yours.
I was going to say, like my colleagues here, we find that some students have got those very good skills of collaboration and can use quite sophisticated techniques. But we've also done some work here around what we call an oracy project, where we've worked with students on helping them to develop the vocabulary of compromise or leadership or discussion, so that we kind of give them, particularly the younger ones, the vocabulary and the sentence stems to use so that they are building on each other's arguments rather than using language that is sort of negating the opinion of another student. And sometimes some students are very good and they have that instinctively, and some students need to have that vocabulary and that thinking process, that metacognitive understanding. They need that developed and practiced. And so that's one of our projects, has been trying to really develop that so that students have got a kind of toolkit of vocabulary and ways to work in, in different roles within a group and to collaborate.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nicolette. And I believe we have discussed the aspect of collaboration very briefly, although it is such a detailed concept, and I don't think we would be able to do justice as educators to discuss this in detail in a span of 15 to 20 minutes. But one thing that is definitely the highlight from this conversation, from today's panel discussion, is that inculcating collaboration or compassion in your regular classroom environment is not something that should be forced. I think it's something that could come naturally as an educator, as a teacher. And with that, let's come to the second segment of this panel discussion, which is asking questions to each other. So I think this is the more interesting part, where educators, it's now time for you to ask questions to each other. So if any of you have any questions for each other, we can go ahead by raising our hands on Zoom. Yes. Well, I have lots of questions, but I'm going to control my emotions and allow all teachers here to speak. Yes, teachers. Okay, I believe Miss Natasha, if you could take the lead on the questions.
Sure, definitely. I think there are some language teachers also present in the panel. As a language teacher, I'm so sorry for the noise behind. So the fact is, my friend is shifting to Canada today, so she's about to leave. So just that. Okay, so we have language teachers present here. Role plays, I feel, are an integral part of, of a language classroom. How many of you agree? I do a lot of role plays in the class, and I think that serves the purpose, compassion, collaboration. One of the important activities that we do, to inculcate the values we are talking about today. So I just would like to understand, how do you go about, taking role plays in the classes? Are this, do you specify what you intend to achieve through the role plays, or you leave it at the discretion of the students? What are they learning from the role play?
Great. Miss Natasha, would you like to direct the question to any particular educator, or the floor is open?
I think it is open, whoever wants to answer
Awesome.
to this.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, would any of the educators like to answer this one, since it's related to language, maybe?
So the thing is, there are two parts of a role play. Do you specify what you intend to achieve, the values, the learnings, or you keep it open to children for them to comprehend their learning themselves?
Yes, Miss Nigda.
I would like to say that it depends on the context, what we are about to teach them. Sometimes we do tell them what is the context and why we are having a particular role play. However, at times when the learning objective is something deeper, something wherein we want the students to explore what they are learning, and we want them to identify or learn a moral out of the play or role play that they have performed, then that at that point I would prefer to keep it hidden until the end. And that is how I especially conduct my classes, English lessons, and my role plays. Sometimes it's already revealed at the beginning, sometimes it's kept a secret till the end.
I think that's very well put, Miss Nikta. It's all about the context. It's all about what exactly is it that you are teaching. Definitely. Yes, Miss Ong.
For me, because I'm a music teacher, so normally like I would prefer like something like I let them to experience first. That means I will not tell them what to do. I don't like to direct students. So normally I would just tell them, prepare give them some ideas, and then I want them to come up with their own ideas. Like the role play will come later, because I think nowadays we are more to facilitators instead of just tell them like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Because nowadays youngsters, I don't think they like to be direct and you just tell them like, yeah, you should do this, you should do that. So for me, like I will prefer something like I wanted to come up from them. And then after that, then we tell them, oh yeah, that's the idea. Okay. So I prefer something like that. That is from my point, because I am a music teacher. So I like them to experience first, and then they will come up with the conclusion. Just like this program. I actually I didn't tell my students about how difficult and who are they going to compete. But after the competition, then only I told them like, yeah, your competitors are students from middle school. So they were like, oh my God, Pano, you shouldn't do that to us. I said, no, this is a challenge. After you have tried, then only you know how to prepare for the next, for the in future. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Ong. Yes, Miss Etika.
Thank you so much for the time. And I sometimes I agree that sometimes I reveal the objectives of our role play in the beginning, and because some of I have a very heterogeneous students. Some of them are very fast learners, and some of them are not really fast. So I have to facilitate those who are not really fast. So I assist them to guide them what they have to do, and I what is it tell them you have to be like this, to be like that, but not all of the part of the role play I drive them. I ask them to have their own flow, but still in the right path that we are learning that day. I think that.
Okay, I think that is also an interesting way to ensure that you have a classroom which is engaging, at the same time interactive and interesting for the students. Thank you so much, Miss Etika. Yes, Miss
Pranjali, please allow me one more question here.
Absolutely.
I would like to understand from the panelists today what role cooperation plays in when you talk about cooperation, collaboration. The world is equally competitive as well. Competition in talking about collaboration, cooperation, compassion. So what are your thoughts about competition? Is it important to be competent? You are competent, I mean competitive. And we are giving away to, compassion and collaboration. So how do we balance?
Miss Parul, would you like to address that question?
You've asked a very tricky question, Natasha. And
Indeed.
Today keeping multiple things in mind, and collaboration and compassion are little soft words, and unfortunately the world outside is harsh. And sometimes I do feel by inculcating so many values of compassion and collaboration, if I just stick to these two words, we are actually not preparing our children for the world outside. Maybe if 30% of the world outside they'll meet will be compassionate and collaborative in nature. But I know we as adults, we face this on a daily basis. We actually know how competitive it is. So I think our ideas, our plans should always be tempered with a dash of cold reality. I think that is important sometimes. I mean, I'm going to ruffle some feathers, I'm sure, but I think some little peppers of harsh, cold reality are very, very important. I mean, Rashmi ma'am and myself, we are actually colleagues. We work in different wings of the same school. We have seen how some of our learners are not able to handle rejection so easily. You know, senior learners who have been trying to apply to various dream universities and not able to get through, and how it is that they are handling that. So somewhere I feel, you know, that balance, I think as adults we need to find the fine balance. So, but again, like I mentioned, Natasha, it's a very tricky question you asked, and we literally have to walk the knife's edge. It's either here or there. You will get the blasting from one way or the other, but yeah, we have to find that little balance. So, but in the interest of our learners, I think it's very, very important. Yes, I agree with you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Parul. Ms. Sarah, what are your opinions about this particular question that Ms. Natasha has posed?
Sorry, now I'm muted. I went to an all-girls school where it was very much dampened down, and you were encouraged to compete with yourself. So you were aiming for a personal best. And at the same time, I think what was really good about the school is it also prepared us to deal with failure. And so we were trained and we were given real world examples of what happens when you don't have success or you don't have success yet. So I think the school I went to, and I think and the school that I'm at now, handle it really well. I always say to my year nines, don't care about what person's sitting next to you got. Just try and get your personal best for the year. And that seems to go down really well.
Absolutely, Ms. Sarah. Thank you so much. I think it's so important to encourage the students to be the best versions of themselves rather than comparing themselves to someone else. That is very well put. With that, unfortunately, because of the paucity of time, we will only be able to address Ms. Sindhu and Ms. Rashmi's viewpoints. So, Ms. Rashmi, why don't you go ahead first?
Yeah, thank you, Pranjali. Totally agree to what other panelists have just mentioned regarding the competition bit. And yes, children are though not taught, how to take in failure, but this is what they learn, I think, as they progress, and this is what later on life is going to serve out to them. So these are like kind of building blocks that they start, understanding early on in life. That yes, on one hand, you have to be compassionate, you have to be collaborative, because in a classroom, you cannot work individually or by yourself all the time. You have to work with others always. And when it comes to competition, this is what teaches them slowly, gradually, how to accept failure, and that is what is going to help them later on in life. Because of course, once you're out in the outside world, there is competition everywhere, and you cannot do anything
Absolutely.
but to accept.
Absolutely, Ms. Rashmi. Thank you so much. Yes, Ms. Sindhu.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Natasha, for that question. It's really pinched the brain to think about what's happening. And as Ms. Parul was talking, let me tell you, it's not in those two wings. It's there everywhere. Resilience is a issue with the generation where we think somewhere it's adults like us who mollycoddle them and pamper them. And we are so careful about their upbringing and so protected they are about that we think about all milder versions of it, the compassion, the goodness and everything. But collaboration as it comes in, collaboration can be a little harsh also at times as they throw ideas into the group. They have to accept it, somebody else's idea. They have to defend for their own ideas, and I feel that gives them a lot more skills over there. So as you said, when they look about their admissions, making decisions and being competitive over there, and somebody very rightly said that yes, it's about being the best version of yourself, but competition is there and you have to be there to compete it. So I think along with the skills that where we teach them compassion and collaboration, competition is also essential to say that be the best there, set your own goals and work towards it. So from a
Absolutely.
counselor perspective, from being in the education where we meet individuals with a lot of issues who come and say that, yes, I'm too sensitive, I don't think I will be able to adapt. So I think at the lower level, if the parents build in that also, yes, you need to work hard to achieve your goals, irrespective of what others are doing. It helps. And resilience is the uh, topmost that needs to be worked on. Let them make their mistakes, let them fall down, let them experience little failures and then revive, stand up and work for it. That's something I think this generation, we are too protective about them and they don't get to experience it. So that's one thing I feel as strongly as somebody working in the school as an educator is we all need to work on, including the parents.
Thank you so much, Miss. And I think, Miss Sindhu, you've sort of wrapped up the entire discussion in a wonderful gift, a wonderful parcel, I would say. You've concluded and summarized all the points of discussion that all our educators have brought to the table. And with that, I would like to conclude and want to extend a big thank you to all our teachers, our educators who brought their A game for today's panel discussion. I think your wisdom, your expertise, and experience, they've truly been the icing on the cake. And being the moderator, I've enjoyed listening to all your experiences and all the lovely answers that you have presented on the panel today. With that, I would now like to invite Ms. Sugandha to take over. Once again, thank you so much, teachers. And I hope you keep shining like the stars that you are. And I hope and wish that your classrooms continue to be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for our students with countless of opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pranjali, for moderating this wonderful panel. And a huge round of applause to all you wonderful teachers, educators from different parts of the world. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, what happens in those classrooms, how difficult or how easy it is interacting with students, getting them to understand the meaning of these words like kindness, compassion, collaboration. And like I said earlier, you guys are doing a fabulous job in building up the future generations of this world. So continue doing this amazing deed that you all are. And a huge thank you to all of you from the team of ELPRO and SkillSphere for joining this panel discussion and for joining Pangea and making this a huge success. We will now be moving forward to the student panel discussion. And while our students are waiting in the waiting room, I'd like to thank once again all the educators. To all the live audiences, we will be back in about 10 minutes from now with the young stars who are all ready, all geared up to share their thoughts about this amazing topic. Thank you, everybody. Live audiences, we'll be right back in 10 minutes. Bye-bye, all of you. A great evening ahead. Thank you.